Shut up and sit down.
Welcome back for part 2 of our 135-part series, Top 5 Movies. We're back again with Joe. Stick around. And we're back. Thanks for waiting, everyone. Hopefully you haven't shut this off already. Dan, wake up, Dan.
Sorry.
So
Where were we?
We're doing our top 5, and we just completed 4.
Yes.
And we're going to numero 3.
Place.
And Dan, as you've been starting us off, go ahead. Continue, please.
Number 3. I don't know why. I just feel like I can't leave this one out, and it's going to be hard for me to defend. But
Oh, shit.
The Truman Show.
Wow.
Yeah,
I really want you to explain that one.
Well, I saw it as a
Top 5
youngin.
favorite movies, Dan, was the list. That
Yeah, I know.
I love The
guess-
Truman Show.
I
Don't
guess
get me wrong.
I loved the concept of the movie. I could still watch it to this day. I am biased towards Jim Carrey.
Obviously.
It was also one of those movies, one of the rare movies that he did that was a serious movie,
Relatively serious.
you know, because it's hard for him to not make jokes here and there, or be a little witty or goofy. But The Truman Show, for me, it's just, I don't know. I was a teenager, I think. I saw it in the theater. I don't know. I loved every second of it. I thought it was really cool. Just the concept alone, I think, is worth mentioning.
I agree. It was a very cool concept. Very weird look at reality TV, if you will.
Yeah, even before reality TV was really as big as it is now, for sure. I mean, it existed, but it wasn't like it is now.
Exactly.
I don't know. To look at sort of the human condition, to watch a person from its gestation to its adulthood. I mean, it's crazy. What a weird concept. And I don't know, the whole thing, the love story of that too. And if you haven't seen it, am I spoiling anything? I don't know, but I don't know. Something about it, I could just watch over and over again. Well, not literally, but I could watch it right now and be totally happy.
the show itself, if it existed, or the movie?
No. See, that's a good point. Like, what if it did exist and we're literally watching someone from gestation? Maybe it would be gripping. I don't know.
What if this is the Dan Show, and this is all fantasy here?
Yeah, I don't know. It still gets me. Is there a monster in your house?
Yeah.
The Rocness.
Anyways.
The Rocness Monster.
So, yeah, The Truman Show for me, that's number 3. That was a huge ding.
Yeah.
Is that your phone?
No, it's my MacBook is tied to my phone, so when I get a text message, it does that.
So
What
it
if,
was
and
your
this is a total crazy idea, what if you shut your phone off while we did a podcast?
Well, because I'm actually getting like feedback and other stuff in terms of things.
What do you mean?
Like, so I put that post out on the FB about like favorite movies. I'm not responding. I'm just like seeing these things as they come in, and I told people that I would mention some of what they say.
Which you haven't
I
at
see
all.
what you're saying.
Now is not a good time for that. As I'm getting
Gotcha.
text messages, I'm not actually answering them. I'm just taking
see.
it. See, I can't.
You wanted to incorporate the listeners' thoughts during the podcast.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with that at all.
Got you. I mean, you could have said, tell us by a certain time today before we start recording, but that's cool too. Anyways, The Truman Show is... What's that other one that Jim Carrey did with the movie theater, Jubilee, something?
The Majestic.
The
Majestic.
Majestic.
Yeah. I kind of like that one too, but...
That was okay.
Yeah, but just to see Jim Carrey in a more of a serious role, to watch his father, what he thought was his father, die. Well, it really was his father.
Yeah,
Die.
but what he thought was dying.
Right, he thought was dying in that boating accident. It was good. Good.
So that's
That's
good.
it. That's my number 3, man. Boom.
The Truman
And
Show.
you know what? I think, you don't have to you don't have to defend your list too much here. I mean,
Yeah,
it's,
why?
It's your list.
Yeah. Fuck you guys.
Fair enough.
This guy's texting people over here.
Fair enough. So we're moving forward. So
Yeah.
Truman Show. I've seen it about 100 times. I love the movie. Is it Jim Carrey's best? I don't think so. But was it gripping? Was it moving? If I don't see a good afternoon, good evening, and good night, I mean,
yeah,
it's a great line.
yeah.
So my number 3, Numero Tres. And this movie, it didn't really change my life. I just thought it was incredibly well done. It was tense, and it brought you all the way to the last final seconds of the movie. Where you're like, oh my fucking God. The Departed.
Yeah.
The Departed. Nothing?
No, it deserves a top 5 somewhere. Absolutely.
You just kind of, it's on my list too.
Oh boy, it's on his list too. Well, for me,
and I know for a fact that one of the listeners chose it as their all-time favorite movie.
Yeah, I saw that.
Somebody I know rather well.
Yep. Yep, that was Josh. Josh did say that, and I did make a mention that it might maybe be on my list. First of all, the cast. The cast
Fantastic.
was
across the board.
Fan-freaking-tastic. But this is the thing.
Fantastic.
So, Joe, that's on your list?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
then you know what? When you get to it, I would like us to discuss that further. Is that fair? Does everyone think that that's fair?
That's completely fair.
All right, cool. Let's move on. Joe, you're number 3.
My number 3 is Mad Max Fury Road.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great film. Please.
Yeah, out of all the movies I was considering, like dozens of movies going through my head, most of them, and Dan kind of touched on this earlier, were because they were important to me throughout my life. I had seen them early on and loved them.
Sure.
And I was thinking to myself, I want to try to include a movie that might be somewhat newer. But that's kind of hard, isn't it? Because I feel like, they have to withstand a test of time.
Yeah.
On
agreed.
some level.
Yeah.
And because the movie, not that I would consider this necessarily a top 5, but Logan popped into my head. Because a movie where as soon as I saw it, I knew, I really like this movie a lot. Also one of those movies that isn't just a good superhero movie, it's a good movie. But yeah, with Mad Max Fury Road, I wanted to think about... So I was, gave you guys that list of movies to watch, and I was kind of thinking... I'm, getting worried because now, being 30, it's I'm reaching that point where I'm thinking, are movies sort of just not as good lately? Or am I getting old and bitter towards everything? Because it's happening with music, too.
Yeah.
I'm
Agreed.
looking for new bands to listen to, and it's crap. Everything sucks.
Why do you
Getting
do
old.
this?
Nothing's as good as...
Well, you're not
cable
as
then.
wide-eyed and wondrous anymore,
Right.
When you're younger, you're just like, oh, wow, this is cool. To everything.
And
So,
but with Mad Max, and I specifically went, I did not throw the whole series in there, the Mad Max movies, because I like to think that Mad Max Fury Road was, I didn't read this and I haven't really watched any interviews with George Miller, but I sort of am under the impression that it was probably the Mad Max movie he wanted to make all along had he had the resources to do it.
I could see that.
And I think it was good enough to argue that. I mean it won Best Picture and Best Director, which it should have.
yeah.
Yeah.
But
That was quite a movie.
it's awesome. I mean,
Furiosa.
it's impressive on a lot of different levels. I mean, I don't want to sit here and go on and on too long about it. It's when it comes down to it, I liked the Mad Max movies to begin with, and like I said, being a fan already, and being that such a long time had passed in between Mad Max movies, and being sort of a reboot, you're kind of a lot of fans of the original. We had that discussion, when you come out with a new movie, it could never live up. This one fucking did, and it was the best one.
Oh, wow.
And it would be a different discussion talking about Tom Hardy, who is an amazing actor, as Max Rokitansky versus Mel Gibson.
It's funny you say that, 'cause I wanted to ask that.
I'm not saying Max is better per se. I think they're both good, but I think the movie, like I said, I imagine it as probably this was the Mad Max project he wanted to do from the beginning. And
you're right.
like pretty much, I think it was like 90% of all the stunts and stuff were real. Actually, real stunts, not CGI. Practical stunts. Practical stunts. That's it.
Yeah, I would just have to lose so much respect for
what?
Well, for CGI stunts and anybody eating olives on a microphone. Or pickles. Pickles on a microphone.
I'm listening to you, though.
This guy's over here.
Olives,
for the
disgusting.
listeners, this guy's over here texting. While
texting.
Joe's talking about Mad Max.
Not actually
eating pickles out of his drink that he claims he has a hangover, yet he continues to drink vodka.
Pickles.
Well, the only the pickles, the pickles. I heard. Listen, okay, you don't fucking sit there and judge me for anything.
First of all, I am perfect, and second of all,
we judge you constantly.
Yeah, that's what we do.
It's the weekend. Okay, I don't have my daughter, which I miss her. I miss her little cherub face. But I got drunk last night, and I was in a lot of pain. Now I don't feel any more pain.
Apparently, you're still drunk because you think it's cool to text while we're doing a podcast.
Okay, first of all, I'm not texting.
What were you doing? Checking emails?
Yes, very important.
No.
I've listened to everything and understood. You know what? We're not going to argue this right now. Joe is discussing
Mad Max,
Fury Road.
Furry Road. I saw it. I saw it.
Yeah, that's the porn.
That's the
Good one.
Yeah. That's great.
Good night, ladies and
We
gentlemen.
need a rim shot.
Rim job?
No.
I was discussing it. I think that's about it. I was
Good.
Probably starting to ramble.
No,
that's okay.
I think you touched on the most important parts. I think discussing Tom Hardy versus Mel Gibson, it's
different discussion.
Very different. There were different roles, I feel.
And yeah, and also I would argue that, and I'm not saying Tom Hardy is a better Max, but I would say he probably fucking did the best you could do with, like, what are you really going to bring out of that role if you think about the character?
You're right.
Like, I think he did as good as he could have.
Yeah.
And I thought Charlize Theron was awesome, even though apparently Tom Hardy and Charlize Theron didn't really get along.
Oh, really?
Really?
Yeah.
That I didn't
she
know
sounds
about.
like a huge bitch.
No surprise.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter.
She just looks like a bitch. She has a resting bitch face. She's gorgeous, though.
Neither here nor there. But she did awesome, though, so I don't care what she's like on a personal level.
That's fair.
Yeah. Well, we write each other. She's really nice, but that's okay. So what number are we on now? Number 2? All right, number 2. This is a big one.
Dan, please don't disappoint me this time because you do it so often.
Well, like I said, I'm Jim Carrey heavy. It's Dumb and Dumber.
Nice.
I can't disagree with you, although I have a different number 2.
Dumb and Dumber for me, man, every second I think of that movie, I was laughing. And even if I wasn't laughing, I was smirking.
Well, yeah, that was a huge part of my childhood, that movie.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't know. There's something about a sense of humor that it goes, I don't know. It's not just dick and ball jokes. You know what I mean?
Well, no.
There's something about it. I mean, the Farrelly brothers were fantastic.
Aren't they always?
But the physical comedy aspect that Jim Carrey brought to it, I mean, the scene in the diner where they eat the hot peppers and he's smashing
I'm laughing thinking about that right now.
Smashing mustard and ketchup onto the counter and they begin squirting straight up into the air. And he's trying for the mustard and ketchup to land on his tongue. I mean, just how do you top that, dude? That's so funny.
I love too the subtle lines. The subtle lines are the best. Like, what's the soup du jour? The soup of the day. That sounds good. I'll have that.
You're right.
These little quirks, little lines. They were in there. They were perfect.
Yeah, I think. I mean, like, yeah, it's called Dumb and Dumber, and
right.
It's like, but what is great about it comedically is it takes so much that is really slapstick, but it's also so nuanced and I think Jim Carrey allows for that, and that's also what I think why I like Cable Guy.
Yeah.
Is because that brought more the subtleties out from Jim Carrey's delivery, or at least it afforded him that opportunity.
Right.
But yeah, Dumb and Dumber, because it's not just like you said, it's not just balls and farts and stuff like that, which I think Dumb and Dumber 2 was more of.
Yeah,
agreed.
I feel like if you take Dumb and Dumber, you take Dumb and Dumber 2, and you take a movie like The Boondock Saints and The Boondock Saints 2, exactly the same. And people are like, well, what is that? That doesn't even make any sense. The Boondock Saints is not really a comedy, and Dumb and Dumber is what are you talking about? And my response is this. The first movie was what I'd like to call a happy accident. It was organic. Mm-hmm. It happened, and it was fan-fucking-tastic.
The stars were aligned. Yeah.
Dumb and Dumber was one of the greatest comedies I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
And I'm so glad you brought it into this conversation because I watched it at a very young age. I was probably way too young to watch the movie. Mm-hmm. And it worked. It made me laugh. And then as I got older, I started to understand the innuendos and the other jokes, and it made it even better for me. And that's a movie I could go upstairs right now, toss on, and I'll still laugh my ass off.
Right.
I feel like with the second movie, they were trying so hard to recapture the magic of the first movie.
You're right. And that's the same thing for a lot of things. So.
It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
Right.
I think that's kind of makes me think of. First of all, you're absolutely right. That you put that very well.
Thank you, Joe.
But that's kind of like.
I don't think you did that well with it.
It's kind of like American.
Go fuck yourself.
I've always thought of it that's like American Idiot and then 21st Century, whatever, Breakdown, Green Day.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the Day of
like
Green.
American Idiot as this.
You're not
going to
recapture. Yeah.
It became a concept album by accident, sort of. They were like, "Whoa, this is happening," and then they finished it and it was brilliant, awesome, and then. They became like self-aware and then tried doing it. The next one was ridiculous. They did like different acts and stuff,
stupid.
like Act 1 and Act 2. Like, oh, give me a break.
I couldn't even.
I think you're absolutely right though, as far as drawing that analogy with Boondock Saints 1 and 2 and Dumb and Dumber 2 is when I finally saw the sequel to Boondock Saints. I remember, first of all, my friend Chad thought it was awesome. Greatest thing ever. Like, yeah, dude, it was awesome.
No.
And I was sitting there and I was like, I feel like my intelligence is being insulted. I feel like, what the hell's the director's name? Troy Duffy or something?
Troy Duffy, huge piece of shit.
Biggest tool ever.
Huge piece of shit.
What a tool.
Fuck
but
him.
I felt like he was actually sitting there and making fun of me in my face for liking the first film.
Yep.
Like,
I got to be honest with you, I didn't even see the second one.
That's fine.
Don't.
I loved the first one so much.
Stay there.
And then there was so much time in between the first and the second one. And then when all it took was like 2 people to see the second one, and they said, "Don't, it's terrible."
It is.
Okay, I believe you.
Yeah.
The first one, and I love how we got on Boondock Saints right now, but that's fine.
Yeah.
Because we can draw these comparisons. The first movie, first of all, was ultra super violent, as we know, and it came.
I mean, if you think
shooting
a cat is violent, fine.
There's a lot. Obviously, there's a lot more. The movie came out the same time as Columbine happened.
Yes.
So it was actually pulled from theaters, and it went straight to, and you mentioned this earlier, Blockbuster Video. It spread and was successful purely on word of mouth and college students that saw this movie. It became a college staple of, oh my God, you need to see this movie. We're in college.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Incidentally, I think my freshman year of college almost ruined the Boondock Saints for me single-handedly.
Really?
Thanks RIT, along with Family Guy. It was like by Christmas of my freshman year of college.
So many people were watching the movie. Yeah.
At that, I was like, what the fuck? I watched Family Guy before it got canceled the first time.
Right.
Like, who the fuck, Oh man, I almost couldn't watch the movie after my freshman year.
I'm completely with you in terms of that because I mean it was watched and watched and watched and it was like you need to see this and you're not cool if you see this and this, that, and the other. And then, but I saw Boondock Saints. I made my own opinion, and I loved it. And then I had to kind of scale back from watching it again. Like I had to be like, you know what? I can't watch this for a while. Yeah. But every time I put it back in, I rekindle. I realize again why I love it. Does that make sense?
No, of course it
Yeah.
does. And I was going to say, because this started with Dumb and Dumber, that no, it's not all dick and ball jokes, but yes, pretty much if you look at it, it's juvenile humor. But I think works so well
levels.
about juvenile
humor.
I think that's more of a launching point for the comedy that it was.
Right.
But
if you watch it now as an adult, you could still laugh at the same things that you laughed at when you were a kid.
Well, yeah.
That's you know what? Saying that it's like dick and balls jokes is sort of like saying that Jim Gaffigan it's just about food. Like,
right.
Yeah,
that's fair.
but
that's fair. Yeah.
It's a lot more.
I mean, if you want to look at the broad
and,
picture, he gets his tongue stuck to a frozen thing. He takes diarrhea in the woman's house.
Yes, but then you double that with the nuanced humor. Like, for instance, the scene when they're in the hot tub talking about Freda Felcher.
Yes.
And he's like, then she gives me a John Deere letter. Like, first of all, it's a Dear John letter, which is the breakup letter.
And then he learns that he's the guy that she cheated on him with.
Exactly. But what I'm saying is just something as simple as I got a John Deere letter. Like, I laughed when I got older and I saw it again. Yeah. I laughed so hard at that scene because I never caught that when I was younger. Because God knows I've gotten my share of Dear John letters. Whew. But what I'm saying is when you notice that
they're called restraining orders.
Two points to Joe.
Right.
Put him on the board.
I've been awarded the first 2 points of your podcast.
That's right.
Oh my God, critical mass, 2 points, Joe.
Right.
But those little things like I'm from Austria. Oh, let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
That's a lovely accent you have.
Yeah.
New Jersey.
New
That's
Jersey.
But
like just those little subtle, nuanced comedy that just like sold a couple of things. Baseball cards, Petey never had. Harry, I took care of it. Now the fact I literally say that almost every single day when my boss gives me a case to work on with a client. Yeah. He'll be like, Did you do Harry? I took care of it. Yeah. Like every time. And
you're butchering that quote, by the way, but I'm gonna
go ahead. No, go ahead. You know what? Do the whole thing. If you're
it's just ahead. I mean it's my number 3.
You fix it.
Listen, it's my number 3.
I thought we were
number 2.
It's your number 2.
That's what I meant. It's my number 2.
But you don't even know what fucking number we're on, and you want to talk to me about anything. Go ahead.
I feel like we're fighting with pool noodles at this point.
Do the quote.
So he buys, I think, a bag of peanuts or something.
Like some snacks.
Do some.
He's like, how did you come up with the money for that? And he goes, well, I sold a few things. What?
Sorry, I was quoting True Lies.
Okay.
Josh would get it. Go ahead.
So, well, now you got me all flustered. What did he say? He goes, yeah, so a couple baseball cards, but he says something else, and then he says Petey.
Yeah, exactly.
Petey,
I was paraphrasing.
blah blah blah. Wait.
How were you able to raise $10 extra? I sold some stuff.
Oh,
what kind of
stuff? He
stuff?
was chewing. I sold some stuff.
Sack of marbles, a few baseball cards, Petey, and he does the cough so terrible. Like the time.
Petey never had.
Harry, I took care of it.
You sold our dead bird to the blind kid.
Yeah. Billy and Forsey.
Pretty bird.
Harry.
Pretty bird.
I took care of it. He just has this attitude. It wasn't yelling.
Pretty bird.
Josh is probably squirming right now at all the mistakes he made.
Yeah.
Josh, if you're hearing this, fuck you.
In fairness, you guys are right. It's like it's the juvenile humor that is a launching point to the rest of the stuff that's really funny. Like his insecurity when he's at the bar because he's supposed to be on that date and he's so insecure about it and she's not showing up because he was given, a false claim.
The bar when he
the
walks
bartender
out, when he points at the man on the
No,
moon.
or when you're interrupting, you bastard.
Wow.
We're gonna fight. We are gonna fight today.
Fine.
No, he's at the bar and he's talking to the bartender. He's just so insecure and just the way he responds to the bartender, like, oh, Mary Swanson? Yeah, she comes in here all the time. And he grabs him.
What's that supposed
What's that supposed to mean? for
has
dinner.
Oh,
Yeah.
he fixes his collar.
I love that.
It's
I
just-
love
You
it.
wouldn't
It's
have
great.
to know where she lives.
Yeah,
Yeah,
her
it's
family's
the
got the
big
big
place up on
Samson.
Alpine Drive.
Swap meet.
Swanson.
Swammy.
Swammy. So okay, so that's my
Samsonite.
number 2.
I was way off.
I think going back to your Big Lebowski, I would say Dumb and Dumber might be even a bigger quotable movie.
Agreed.
And not just for like us as a group of friends or many groups of friends. I mean, like on ESPN, everything. Like Dumb and
That's
Dumber is a
true.
universally quoted movie, and it has been for what was it, like 93 or something that it came
Where are you
Yeah,
going?
was it
The
93 or
airport?
94?
out. Yeah.
Or he's like,
So why are you going to the airport?
we're flying somewhere?
How'd you know?
How'd you know?
I saw your luggage.
My
Let's see
uncle.
what-
Well, he was my uncle. Just talking about dying on the way to the airport.
Statistically, you're far more likely to get killed on the way to the airport.
Oh, see, here we go.
Mary! Oh, okay. All right, so that's my number 2.
And the fact that if they had got married, she would have been named Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
I remember, I think it
wow.
was Josh who told me that when a long time ago, like when we were kids.
Oh, wow.
I never really put that together, and I'm glad you did. I'm 31 years old, and I just put together that her name would have been Merry Christmas.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Just
Joe.
To
Thank
point
you,
out
Joe.
how like
Even on another level.
yeah,
how
they just did
ridiculous
not
it is.
belong together. It just
Yeah.
wasn't going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
So, okay, number two, Dan. First of all, I want to thank you, Dan, because that number 2 of yours brought me great joy.
Good.
So thank you.
yes, I agree.
Appreciate that. My number 2 was already mentioned, and that's the Back to the Future series.
Oh, yeah.
There's a reason it's number 2. My brother and I talked about this actually ad nauseum. I don't think there is a better written or better well put together trilogy in terms of the ins and the outs, the time traveling aspects, the way the movies flow into one another. There is no other trilogy, period, that is written as well as Back to the Future.
I mean, the third one, a bit different visually, stylized, but
But all,
because the first 2 were so connected story-wise.
but I mean all of it, every single. Regardless, every single piece, and there was foreshadowing to the third one in the first 2 movies. If you've paid enough attention, for instance, in the second one, Doc is wearing a shirt that has trains and like Wild West people on it. There is a part, actually, I thought too that was cool in the third one, which everyone talks shit about. I don't think the third one was the best one, but I don't think it was a bad movie by any
It's still
stretch.
a part of one of the greatest trilogies ever.
I mean, Zemeckis was so on point with all of that. But when he has the gun and Marty McFly grabs the pie plate and throws it like a frisbee, and it was frisbee pies. And what's funny is that's a fact. That's actually a thing. So frisbee pies, that's where we get frisbee from.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So that's, I didn't know that either. I had to actually read on that.
Wow.
I thought that was fucking neat.
You read.
I know, it's weird. But just all of, the way it connected, the way the 3 were put together, it's, to me, is mind-blowing. And again, I said I would bring this up before, but the Back to the Future movies are also movies that I sat with my dad and watched when I was young and bring back a lot of great memories in terms of that.
Michael J. Fox, I mean, I just wish he's still alive, but I kind of wish I could have known him.
Personally?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know?
He's a great he's a great man. There was a show, unfortunately, that got canceled about Michael J. Fox and his family, and it joked about his Parkinson's. And what I loved about him and poking fun of his own Parkinson's was there was a trailer for the TV show.
Yeah.
And the family was sitting down to dinner.
Was it a sitcom or a
sitcom?
Oh, okay.
And his family was sitting down to dinner, and everyone's like serving themselves, and he's serving himself, and he's got a spoon, and he picks up the peas, and he's
They're
like
just
shaking, and the peas are just coming off the spoon, and he's like doing it again, and the peas are coming off the spoon, and finally his wife just grabs his hand and goes, "We don't have time for a personal victory right now. Everyone is hungry."
God.
Just the fact, like that he can do that. I think that he is a class act as a man.
Yeah.
I think he is a true hero. Because he has never once said, "I have Parkinson's, feel bad for me." He has never once said, "I am better than you because I'm afflicted by this disease." Not that people do that. People act that way. People have this act that because I have a disease or I have something that, you know.
Yeah.
Michael J. Fox is
He's great.
I feel he is a true hero in acting. I feel that his role as Marty McFly personally changed my life, and personally opened my eyes to such a great adventure.
Yeah, we all wish we could be him. We really do.
Oh my God!
And it's so easy to slip ourselves into those shoes.
But for me, it's like, and you guys know, for me, I'm Marty, and Captain is my Doc.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
I have to agree there.
And that for me means a lot.
Yeah.
You know, and then on top of that, you know, the fact that I have such great family memories on top of that of watching those 3 movies together. And then like my dad was in town recently and they came on Netflix and he was here and Alex had never seen them before. Yeah. So we had put those on and they're such great films. And did you know, fun fact, they pitched it to Disney and Disney said it was too risque because of Marty and his mom.
Yeah, that scene.
And they had to explain that you realize that it's a time travel movie and that Marty had no interest in his mother.
Right.
And his mother didn't know that that was her son. Like, duh. And Disney was like, too much. And whereas other places they pitched the movie to had stated it wasn't risque enough.
Yeah.
Which I always thought I think that's funny.
Yeah.
But anyway... Anyone else thoughts on Back to the Future? I know we touched on it a little earlier, but
it's just talking about it makes me want to go watch it right now. I mean,
don't you love that?
If
in the movie?
It's a rainy day and you're sick, you're at home for whatever reason, you can't get out of the house, and you don't have any of those movies, you're fucked. Get a gun and kill yourself.
Exactly. If you don't Back to the Future, kill yourself now.
I think we also have to thank Back to the Future for some of the best McDonald's toys. In memory, at least, unless you guys can.
I don't remember.
I'm starting to get some remembrances.
The wind-up car.
Yeah,
that was a good one. It lit up too.
Pulled it back, and then you pull it back and you let it go, and it had the sparks inside.
Yeah. Yep.
And the DeLorean. Hell yeah.
Never had one.
That'll be our next list. Best McDonald's toys.
Ooh, that's a great episode all in itself, right there. Mind blown.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Back to the Future. Back to the Future for me. Back to the Future is a huge part of my life, and I think in my mind, you guys obviously we've already discussed this. How much Star Wars had an impact on my life. So for me to say that another movie has, in a non-sexual way and a sexual way, touched me.
Yeah.
Close to, if not almost at the level of Star Wars, and that was for me. That's why Back to the Future hit number 2 for me.
Yeah.
Was that for me? It was like, holy fuck, these movies were such a big part of my life.
So if it wasn't for Star Wars, then definitely Back to the Future would be it for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Without even a question.
Yeah. I think that's what the number 2 means. I just defined the number system.
I'm trying to bring my heart into this, and you're just being a
no. I'm making fun of myself. Like that was just an obvious statement because that's what number 2 and 1. That's how the relationship works between number 2 and number 1.
I'm gonna fucking take a number 2 on the hood of your car in a minute.
Joe.
God damn it.
Your number 2, please.
It's The Departed.
There it is.
So now we can talk about it.
Yay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Which
Joe, you start.
First of all, I'd like to say there's too many cuss words, but go ahead.
Everybody's been eagerly awaiting this. Interestingly enough, our Departed conversation is going to be longer than the movie, which is
it's a pretty long movie too.
I don't know. As with all we've discussed about the other movies, it's like The Departed is just a good fucking movie.
Oh
I mean,
my god!
like, I mean,
I went to the
director,
theater 3 times.
cast,
It's a guys movie.
Predator
The
is a guy's.
the casting.
Yeah. Good call, that Joe.
Joe, talk to me about the casting for Departed, because for me that was one of the biggest.
B-rate actors just doing a great job.
Yeah, just saved by the material.
Yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
the only huge B actor was Alec Baldwin in that movie.
I thought he was fine in
You think
his
he's a
part.
B
No,
actor?
I thought he was fantastic. I think he is. Yeah.
Oh,
I
okay.
think he's like the greatest. I think he's up there with what's his name from Evil Dead, Bruce Campbell,
Bruce
as the
Campbell.
best B actors of
Yeah,
all time.
but Bruce Campbell acknowledges that that's what he is, and
Right.
he's like a William Shatner.
That's
He-
what makes Alec Baldwin so funny, though. Is that Bruce gets it,
Yeah.
and Alec doesn't, and that's what makes him great. But anyway,
All right.
continue.
I don't know what else. You're gonna have to help me. It's
Okay,
just,
so we
it's
got-
just an awesome movie.
We got Alec Baldwin,
Matt
Leo
Damon.
DiCaprio, Matt Damon.
Jack Nicholson.
Jack-
so
Nicholson.
okay. As far as the cast and
Yeah.
in relation to the roles that they play in this movie, Leo DiCaprio. Okay, I was talking with my my sister's boyfriend about this once. How we sort of think that Leo DiCaprio is he's not an easy sell on intimidating and tough.
That's fair. That's
And
fair.
he does despair better than anybody. Like despair, he can capture
Yeah. Oh,
God.
better than any other actor. Just
Yes.
the facial expressions. But it's he's not a guy that you'd be like, yeah, I'd be intimidated by him if he were pissed off.
Right.
But in The Departed, he pulls it off. He pulls it off as a guy who's not necessarily the toughest physically or could beat somebody up physically. Just he pulls it off with his temper.
He has nothing to lose.
And
Right.
one of the greatest scenes after you've already seen the movie, when you inevitably go back and watch it numerous times,
Yeah.
when you see his interview with Martin Sheen and Mark Wahlberg, and how Mark Wahlberg is just fucking going at him, just being a huge smartass, and
yeah.
Yeah.
you can just see on his face how badly he wants to erupt and just fucking beat the shit out of him. And
Yeah.
later in the movie, like, you don't know that seeing the movie for the first time,
Yeah.
but knowing his character in hindsight, you're like, this is the greatest scene ever. He's so
Because
pissed.
there's so much tension.
And not only that, I'm so glad you brought up that scene, because I love the fact that they picked him out, they brought him in, and they were discussing the fact that he had divorced parents. One of his parents lived in Boston proper. One of his parents lived in South Boston. If you know South Boston, it's kind of the ghetto part of Boston. And how he's like, we bet you changed your accent based on who you were visiting, huh? You drop your vowels a little bit, huh? And they were pressing him, and they were pressing him, and they were pressing him, and finally DiCaprio, boom, goes right into the accent. That old fucking, that ghetto-ass Boston accent.
And by the way, I consider DiCaprio to be an actor that I think is really talented. He's a great actor, but he's terrible at accents. Please don't give him accents like Brad Pitt. Don't give Brad Pitt accents, please.
Whoa.
That-
Snatch?
Yeah, they had to change. I mean, funny thing is that Guy Ritchie originally had Brad Pitt's character as just British, but he had to change it because he didn't like Brad Pitt's British accent. If you've ever seen the movie Troy, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I got
And even Inglourious Bastards, even though it's humorous, just don't give Brad Pitt accents, please. He's in some of my favorite movies. I think he's an outstanding actor. He's awesome. Just don't, he's not great with the accents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's, it's a different dimension of acting, and, I just don't think it's their strong point. But, again, with Leo DiCaprio, I think The Departed is an exception in that the Boston accent, at least, and arguably for maybe what you brought up is a loophole for DiCaprio in that role, is it doesn't have to be a super thick, consistent Boston accent.
Yeah.
Like in Gangs of New York, like his Irish accent was terrible and kind of
Terrible.
went out like within 5 minutes of the movie. And then every now and then he would say like one word, and you're like, oh yeah, that's right, he's supposed to have an Irish
Yeah.
accent.
So I think another reason why The Departed is a strong movie is that the watcher and listener, the viewer, is struggling the whole movie with what side they're going to take, because it really is between the police and this I don't want to call him a drug lord.
Gang. He's an Irish mob.
He's an Irish mob. Yeah.
Irish mafia.
So you're sort of struggling between which side you're going to take because each side has a rat on the inside.
Exactly.
And so it's difficult. There's so many different characters and the way that they play off each other, and the viewer is going, wait, which side's the good side? Because if he wins, then that means he's fucked. But if they win, that means this guy's fucked. And oh my god! So the whole time you're going, well, how is this going to play out?
Yeah.
As great as DiCaprio did with that temper and the strung out anxiety, as great as he did, I think Matt Damon was great as a snake piece of shit that you want to punch in the face. Perfect. Cast perfectly.
I've never hated him before. Yeah. I never hated Matt Damon.
Really?
And now, I mean, that movie, he did so well, and me being like, you little snake rat fucking piece of shit.
That was a perfect person to
so
be cast
perfect.
in that role.
Yeah.
He did such a great job, honestly. Wow.
Yeah.
And the only, I think the only problem I have with that movie, and it's not a problem, but, like you guys said, the one flaw that's not even really a flaw with like Back to the Future. For me, with The Departed, is at the very, very, very end of the movie, the rat on the railing. Another reason that I loved The Departed immediately when it came out, when I first saw it, was like, I'm not going to pretend to be like the biggest Scorsese fan ever, but what I liked about The Departed was, at least at the time, it kind of seemed like the first plot-driven movie Scorsese did, where it wasn't just a character study. You think of like Taxi Driver and Gang. Wait, did Gangs New York come out afterwards? Anyways, his other movies were primarily just about the characters with like very simple plots. And this one, he had fun with the plot itself, and I appreciated that as sort of a Scorsese fan.
Good point.
No, absolutely. I mean, Scorsese is one of those directors that has changed the face of movies. He's up there with Spielberg. He's up there with Spielberg.
Countless others, but
countless others.
Yeah, I agree.
Another who comes to mind, though, seriously, Spielberg. In terms of great
Steven Spielberg too.
Spielberg.
Yeah,
yes.
I mean, I would throw Tarantino out there.
Tarantino, Nolan.
Yeah.
As great actors, Jesus Christ, great directors of art. You don't think you just roll your eyes to Nolan? I want you to explain your eye roll, you motherfucker.
I don't know.
Come on, Nolan.
The range on Nolan.
The Batman series, Interstellar, Memento.
Yeah.
There's range.
You're right.
The fuck out of here with his
Inception.
range.
Anybody? Can we
Inception,
get completely
The Prestige?
sidetracked and talk about Inception? What do you guys think of that one?
Can we
love it?
Let's talk.
It needs to be watched
Really?
over and over and over again.
That's why I brought it up. Oh yeah, this would be a good list too, for some other time. List of movies that are pretty much universally loved, but you don't like them.
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
I don't know if I'd go so far as to say I dislike Inception. I guess I sort of do. But yeah, Inception annoys me.
Can you tell me? I mean, we're gonna go off on this tangent, but
okay,
I like Inception, but I don't think Inception is the greatest, like my favorite movie of all time. So
it's fun. I'll give it that. I mean, it's a fun movie. It's visually, it's fun.
That's I think the main pull.
It's entertaining.
That it's visually, and sort of the concept is cool too. You
yeah,
know? It's like
but
ooh, dream. No one.
What
knows
annoys
what
me
they mean.
about Inception is that it's a film where, because it's so complex, and I'm not saying it's hard to follow. This is my problem with it, is that the premise of it is so complex that essentially the entire script is the writers, Christopher Nolan, or I guess the Nolan brothers, explaining to you the rules of Inception and what's going on.
Yeah. Good
It's
point.
the writers.
Good point, Joe.
The characters are like winking at you the whole time.
Yeah.
okay. So what you're saying
Like,
is
so we're in so and so's
Like
dream
they
right
look
now.
at the camera, and go, "Did you understand that?"
Yeah,
So-
exactly. Like,
Okay.
we'll take a minute.
Okay, so just so I understand and the listeners understand what you're trying to say is pretty much insulting the intelligence of the moviegoer by, rather than making a scene, creating an instance that allows us to infer what is going on. They're blatantly explaining the plot.
Yeah.
Whereas Episode 1, Star Wars Episode 1, was literally that. And
which is what Jane the Virgin is.
Jane the Virgin is a show I've never watched. I never will watch. I have no interest in watching.
Well, good.
And I don't even think it's necessarily the fault of the Nolans. I don't think there's any other way to tell that story. You have to explain carefully what's going on to people because Inception is made up and it is intricate and complex. So maybe it's their fault for making it that way. And yeah, they probably could have simplified it and given some credit to the audience that they would be able to piece stuff together. And maybe the detail it went into was maybe extraneous. Like we could have, not had, like, you have the totem. Like, well, we need this to, that's used for this. And, I don't know. It's just the whole movie was characters explaining to you what's going on. And that's hard to get past for me.
This isn't a podcast about things that annoy us.
Well, no.
Okay, let's stay positive.
We're talking about movies, though, and I think
I said it's enjoyable. It's as far as being fun. If you with the sound off, it's great.
Wow.
Well, I mean, though, you make a good point with these movies, and I referenced Episode 1 doing this. The introduction of Anakin Skywalker. They were talking about the pod racing. Speaking of podcasting, pod racing. And they say that you have to have reflexes humans don't possess in order to be a pod racer. And Anakin was like, I'm the only human that can do it. Oh, well, then you must be a Jedi. You must have Jedi-like reflexes. Why not, just show us Anakin practicing his pod racing? And then us being able to infer that he has Jedi-like reflexes. Why do you have to have this dialogue that's saying, well, I'm the only human that can do it? Well, then you must be like a Jedi. And then it's like, okay, well, why can't I just put that together myself? And I agree with you. Inception did the same thing.
Or sort of on a similar level, what like Dan was talking about earlier with the fast transitions in A New Hope. And I brought up how the aunt and uncle die, and it's immediately like whoosh, star wipe, and we're in a new if I don't know, maybe George Lucas didn't have as much confidence in Luke Skywalker there. Mark Hamill.
Yep, yeah, Mark Hamill.
But he did though, because then he gives some time to show his reaction to Obi-Wan dying.
Sure.
So it's like instead of saying like, "Oh, now I'm ready to fight" or "I want to fight," because he did say something along those lines, right? Wasn't there a line? I think he did say something where, now I want to be a Jedi, and now I want to go, something along those lines.
Yeah, Aunt Beru and Uncle Owen are killed, and he's like, "There's nothing left for me here.
Right.
I want to become a Jedi." And he's like, "You've taken a much."
And Obi-Wan's just like, "All right, let's go."
First step into a much larger world.
And if they had taken a few seconds extra to just show us that, it's like the viewer knows that,
right?
We
don't need that soliloquy.
There's nothing left for me here.
What's great is that at the end of did you see Force Awakens?
Nope.
And you haven't seen Force Awakens.
No.
I was just talking to you a little bit about it earlier when Rey touches Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, which was also Anakin Skywalker's lightsaber, which was also Darth Vader's lightsaber, etc.
Yes.
At the end of that, you hear a whisper, a background whisper, and it's hard to make out until you've watched it about 40 times, which I have. And it's Obi-Wan from Episode 4, and he is whispering, "You've just taken your first steps into a much larger world," as she lets go of it. And I love how they do that shit. It's
interesting how we're not even into the number one pick for us, and we're already talking about Rock's number one.
Well, we don't know that yet.
Yes, we all do. Let's be honest.
Fair. All right. Well, on that note,
Star Wars.
On that note,
but here's a fun game. Let's guess what each other's number one is.
All right.
I mean, I think we know the Rocness Monster.
I don't have a guess for either of you. I don't
Star
really know.
Wars.
I'm gonna need a second for.
I'd like to guess Joe's.
Go ahead. I would like you to guess Joe's.
And you should guess too. Well, maybe you just don't know him.
I don't know. I don't want to guess.
Joe's number one rhymes with might lub.
Flight Club.
Yes.
No, it's slant rhyme.
Would I be wrong?
No, you wouldn't.
Well,
be wrong.
we're about to hit a break. And then after the break, we're going to come back. Because
It's a teaser for those people.
We're
that don't
all
know.
going to discuss, because I believe our number ones are probably going to take a long time
Well,
to
I don't
discuss.
think that they should. You know, I think it should be a real. Oh, we just say it and leave.
That's stupid. That's the stupidest thing you've ever
All
seen.
right. Let's take a break.
We're going to take a break. Thanks a lot, everyone. We'll be right back. The Critical Mass Podcast can now be found at the 8o'clockstop.com. That's the 8o'clockstop.com. We're there along with our friends at the Hypothetically Speaking podcast, where they answer hypothetical questions. It's a lot of fun, and you'll also find a whole bunch of other fun multimedia there, from music to art to, well, all kinds of stuff. Check it out real soon. That's the 8o'clockstop.com.
Well, folks, welcome back to Critical Mass Movie Podcast this week. As actually, we're going to be breaking this down into two parts. It's so long.
Yeah, this is going to be a two-parter. We're at nearly 3 hours.
Hey, Rocness, this is a really long podcast. This is when you say, how long is it?
How long is it?
It's so long. It's as big as your... Let's move on.
Oh,
So,
I do have a big penis. Thank you.
can we just raise this up? Like, get the... You know what I'm saying? Is this a child's podcast? Do 13-year-olds run this?
Yes.
Okay.
That's our
So,
producer under the stairs. He's
a little
13.
bit of a highlight for everybody, and just catching up. All of Rockness's top 5 sucks. Joe's top 5 thus
Oh,
far
you mean
is
his top
fantastic.
6?
Yes, top 6 so far sucks.
You guys are
And it's
assholes.
about to be
His-
like 7, 8, 9, 10.
Yes, Joe's top 5 is fantastic. Mine obviously is perfect. But we're about to do our number ones,
This is
and
my last podcast with Critical Mass.
it could go on for a while, but we all have guesses as to what number is everybody's number one. I was guessing that Joe's is Fight Club, and that Rockness's is Empire Strikes Back.
Yep. Good guesses.
But I want to hear what you guys think my number one is.
Well, Joe had a great thought.
Yeah.
Just go with your gut, Joe.
My first guess was Office Space.
Rockness?
That was just my immediate.
I mean, Dan, you have a mind that is glorious. And the amount of times that you've quoted Office Space, I feel like I'm kind of with Joe on that. Only because I also don't have any other guesses.
I could have. I don't know. Now I'm just doubting myself, but I could have also guessed Ace Ventura. That might be more of a J movie.
Well, I mentioned that in my honorable mentions.
Which is the only reason why I didn't say it.
Okay.
Yes, it's Office Space.
Yes.
All right, let's talk about it, Dan.
So
Go.
Office Space is my number one. It's one of those almost like a begrudgingly number one, because like I was sitting there thinking like, my God, what's like the movie that I just like, this is it. I don't think it's the greatest movie ever made.
I think that goes along with anybody's number one. The only person who would believe that just overall they're right about their number one is Rocness.
You're right. Because it means so
yes.
much to him. But for me,
Yes.
for me,
Nobody in the world is more certain about their number
Yeah.
one choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think the reason why I'm going to say it's my number one is because it sounds so weird and corny, but it's like it meant so much to me at the time. Beyond its comedy, I mean, yes, for me, it's got to be funny. But beyond that, like just the topics that they talk about, you know, who are you as a person? We're not meant to sit in these cubicles. Do we really have to follow all the rules of society that they're putting in front of us? You know, those kinds of things really spoke to me at that time in my life. And not only that, but the way that they brought it to me was funny. You know what I mean? Where he unscrews one side of his cubicle and just sort of gently pushes it over. Like, I just remember being in high school looking at the rest of my life going, yeah, I don't want that. And
I live that now.
yeah, and I was afraid that could have been a reality for me. And you're just so hyper ideal as a teenager. You think, oh, this is I got life figured out. This is the way life is. You know, you don't do this, man. You do this.
Yeah.
And obviously, I'm a huge failure, so it didn't work out. But I just love the movie.
You are.
I think I find meaning in the most subtle things that they do in that movie. For example, the fact that the main character there, Peter, was talking about when he was in high school himself, and they had those tests that came out to decide what you'd be good at or what career path you should take. And just as he's trying to explain that, yes, some people are going to be janitors and some people are going to be lawyers, he's trying to explain that the test was silly. The other character there, Michael Bolton, there's a paper jam, and when the printer or the copier or something. And so I saw that, just the fact that he was trying to explain something and all of a sudden a mundane part of life got in the way, I saw that as a metaphor. I was like, holy shit. They're already trying to explain the fact that you can't even think about this. You can't even think about how shitty your life is because life gets in the way. You know?
It's scary and true.
Bullshit to begin with, because no one.
Yes, that's
There'd be no janitors because no one would clean.
No one would want to clean shit up, but there's no response. There's no retort to that. You can't actually think about, oh, maybe he's right, maybe he's wrong, because immediately he gets fucked up with this PC load letter. What the fuck does that mean?
You're missing the point, Samir. The point is, if PC load letter,
yeah,
what the fuck does that mean? Exactly.
So.
It's a memorable
philosophically scene. For me, it just hit home at that time of my life. It was perfect and it was funny.
And I think Peter Gibbons is clearly, like you've already implied, an easy character to relate to.
Right.
Which seems to be a common theme with all of our movies we have on our list, is main characters that you can see yourself in.
In their shoes, absolutely. Yeah. 100%.
But I mean, there are a lot of people out there, myself included, who's like, Peter even asks himself, like, later in the movie when he's apologizing to Jennifer Aniston, it's like, I don't know why I can't just go to work and be happy. Like, right. He couldn't do it. Whereas, and then they had the characters, pretty much like everybody else, who didn't really like their job either. Tom, like, oh, maybe I didn't complain as much, but I bet I hated my job even more than you. Yeah. And but they just do it for their whole life. Right. They can just do it because, and that's, I'm not judging people who do that by any means, because first of all, like Peter, I sort of envy that. Like, I wish I could just take any 9 to 5 and just be happy with it, getting the paycheck. And you can respect that too, because
well, Jennifer Aniston's response to him in that scene, I still think about to this day. She goes, "Yeah, Peter, most people don't like their jobs. You just have to find something that you can, I don't know what she says, but that you can withstand.
You can live with and be happy.
You can live with and be happy. Yeah. It doesn't have to be the calling. Right. You know what I mean? And I've actually tried to express that to Rocness here, because he works in a cubicle setting.
Oh, yeah, my life is Office Space.
Yeah, and he wants to kill himself every day. He calls me up crying.
Every single day.
And I'm just like, I know it's an exaggeration, but he really, I mean, I know that you're not super happy with where you work. And I kind of explained to him, like, that's your 9 to 5er, and what you really need to do is find happiness outside of that.
So I find happiness in this podcast.
That you have to, in this podcast. Obviously, there's loved ones in your life.
Of course.
That mean more to you than anything else. But,
yeah, I have a few of those. It's a small list.
Yeah, to find happiness outside of your work, that at the end of the day you have something to look forward to. You know what I mean? That's really the important thing.
Exactly.
We're not all going to end up doing our dream job. It's just impossible.
Right. No, we're not. We're all destined to be disappointed in our lives, which is sad. Office Space.
It reminds me of Daniel Tosh, his stand-up. He was talking about, like, people getting their 15 minutes, and he's like, no, let me get this straight. You're not going to be fucking famous. It's like 15 minutes, that's an average. 0 minutes, 0 minutes, 0 minutes, and 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years points himself.
He's exactly right. I mean, Office Space, Dan, I mean, that movie definitely, like, I live it now. in real life, and we hark back to it at my job pretty often and laughing about the similarities in what we do and what Office Space is. But I mean, that movie really did teach us, like, either do what you love, and if you can't do what you love, then get your paycheck
or find something that you can just barely stand.
get your
You know what I
paycheck and then do what you love outside of work if you have to. I love that movie. I love Office Space. It didn't make my list, but it's definitely, like, I have my top 20 of movies, I would say, and Office Space would be on that list.
Yeah, like I said, that would have been it's like my interchangeable alternate number 5.
Yeah,
right.
Makes sense to me.
So there you have it, folks.
That's your number 1. I like it.
Now,
go ahead. Say something and cut me down.
No, let's move on to your number 1, but the one question I want to pose to you...
I wish you would.
...is obviously Star Wars is something that you live and breathe every day.
Yes. Huge part of my life.
And, why is it that Empire Strikes Back, a.k.a. Episode 5, is the one? Why isn't it number 1? Why isn't it Episode 4?
Empire Strikes Back... there's a lot that goes into that. Number 1, at the time, a movie's breakdown was hero, villain, good guy beats bad guy.
Yeah.
And we all clap, and we laugh, and we have a great time. The Empire Strikes Back is named perfectly because the good guys don't win. At the time, that was something that you didn't see very often.
They narrowly escape, but it's not a win for sure.
No, the good guys pretty obviously lose. You have the hero, Luke Skywalker. He's our hero. We knew from the beginning he would have to face Vader someday. He would have to avenge his father, because at the time he was told that Darth Vader betrayed and murdered his father.
Yeah.
And the point it was written to, Luke would confront Vader and avenge his father. 2 things. Number 1, Jedi do not seek revenge. Revenge is a pointless endeavor that just breeds hate, which is the opposite of what a Jedi does.
Right, and leads you to the dark side.
It leads you to the dark side, correct. Number 2, for the hero to find out that the ultimate bad guy is actually his father is a twist that at that time movies had not seen. It sent this ripple effect through people that had seen, like, what? What? Are you fucking kidding me? Darth Vader, who is synonymous with evil, darkness, blackness, bleakness, is actually our hero's dad, the fruit of his loins.
Yeah.
That changed a lot. Moving forward, what else? Yoda, the scenes in Dagobah.
Yeah.
What he teaches Luke, the philosophy. That was the philosophical Star Wars movie. Of all of them, that one is the philosophical
They talked
one.
about what the Force is.
What the Force is.
Yeah.
Yoda looks at Luke and he says, and one of my favorite lines is he says, "Luminous beings are we, not this crude matter," as he kind of touches Luke's arm. We're more than what this material is. We're things of beauty, and we're all connected. The tree, the rock, the ship, all things are connected as one being, and to understand that. And as I know we talked about earlier, one of, if not my most favorite line, is when Yoda lifts the X-Wing out of the swamp in Dagobah after Luke's failure and doing so. And Luke is looking at the X-Wing and he's like putting his hands against it and he's like, "Oh my God." And he turns and he looks at Yoda and he says, "I don't believe it." And Yoda responds simply with, "That is why you fail. If you don't believe in yourself, you're not going to achieve anything."
I can see you as a Little League basketball coach giving that same speech to a bunch of, like, 7-year-old girls.
7-year-old
And
girls.
it's like a pre-season game too. It's not even a regular season game. You're just like so enamored with this movie and that particular line that you got to whip it out right away.
Well,
They're young girls though, so don't whip it out.
Oh,
well done. So there's that. There's the first time Luke confronts Vader.
Yeah.
And Luke has a bit of an arrogance about himself where he feels that he can just so easily confront Vader, that he knows everything he needs to know.
Yeah.
And I feel like that harks to for us to life. Luke got a little bit of training from Yoda.
He wasn't ready. Yoda said, "Do
Dagobah.
not go. You're not ready."
And Luke says, I see my friends. I see my friends in a city in the clouds, and they're in pain and they're dying. You know, should I not go to them? And Yoda's response was, you know, if you honor what they fight for, don't go. Which is the best response, because in essence they're fighting to protect Luke. They're there to protect. Vader captured Han and Leia and Chewie because he knew the power that is within his son. He already knew Luke was his son at this point, and he knew that just like his father, he can see in past through time. He could see these things. He knew if I tortured Han, if I tortured Leia, if I tortured Chewie, Luke will come here. Yoda knew that too. And Yoda said, if you honor what they fight for, you will not go. You will let them die. To Luke, he doesn't have any family. Han was his family. Right. Chewie was his family. Leia was his family. And he thought,
I didn't know it, but technically, yes.
Exactly. I can put my big boy pants on, ignite my lightsaber, and I will fight this man. Mm-hmm. And hello. And little did he know, just like life, that we think we're so prepared for, that we come in guns a-blazing, lightsabers a-blazing, and we have that dark figure that just kicks our fucking ass right down and gives us a reality check of, motherfucker, you are nowhere near ready to face me. That really, the whole movie on a whole really touched like many nerves with me.
Touched more than nerves.
That's right. It changed the whole. Number one, yes, Empire is my number one movie, but I grouped the whole Star Wars saga.
Yeah, you have to.
Those movies came into my life at a time where my life was very tumultuous. My life was very uncertain. You know, my parents were getting divorced. My dad was going his way. My mom was going her way. And I never felt that I belonged anywhere. I never felt safe anywhere. You know, you have the two people in your life that you think are the most stable, and they turn out to be the least two stable people at the time. Mm-hmm. Now is different, but back then they weren't stable at all. I mean, I didn't know where the fuck I was going. I didn't know where the fuck my brother was going. I didn't know where my dad was going. I didn't know where my mom was going. I mean,
the entire family tied you to a tree, and they left.
Exactly. But for me, Star Wars was that stability. Star Wars, those characters, those people, they became my family, my impromptu family.
Back to my escapism idea too. I mean, you're going through some shit as a young Rocness, and what a better way to get away from all that.
Exactly. I mean, I would sit there and I would hope and pray that Han and the Millennium Falcon with Chewie would land in my backyard and would say, come with us. Yeah. And I would have gone. I would have left.
I'm sure you would have.
I would have left.
You would leave right now.
Immediately gone.
Not to backtrack, but do you also think that the way Luke confronts Darth Vader, and he's advised not to, and it's he's not ready, and he's kind of arrogant and stuff. Do you think that's just kind of a metaphor for how young men at that age seem to confront their father?
Not only their father, but many
authority,
many other authority. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Actually,
too big for their britches,
because Luke got a little taste of Jedi training.
Yeah,
Luke got a little. If you remember Return of the Jedi, Yoda laughed at him when Luke said, I'm here to complete my training. And Yoda says, you know all which you should know. And he goes, so then I am a Jedi. And Yoda
like, no.
just kind of chuckled and said, you must confront Vader and remember his words. His words were never you must kill Vader. His words were never you must destroy Vader. His words were you must confront Vader. It was Luke who thought, I cannot kill my own father. And Yoda was not going to tell him. That's not what he meant. Yeah. See, this goes back to good filmmaking, where you don't need, where you infer, you aren't told. You must confront Vader, and Luke keeps saying, "I'm not going to kill my own father," and no one corrects him. No one tells him that he's actually wrong. He is to confront Vader because Vader is all of the questions he had as a boy. Vader is all of the answers that he has wanted. Where do I come from? Why am I here? What is my purpose? And by confronting him, I wrote an article for a website, don'tforgetatowel.com. Don'tforgetatowel.com, check it out. It's a great website. Anyway, my friend Casey runs that website. Fantastic website. I wrote an article there with a discussion of when Luke actually became a Jedi. When did Luke actually become a Jedi Knight? And it was in Return of the Jedi. The scene where he attacks Vader, and he's slashing at him, and he's slashing at him, and he's slashing at him, and he cuts Vader's hand off.
Yes.
The exact hand that Vader took of Luke's.
Yes.
And he looked at Luke's now robotic hand,
and
he
Emperor,
looked...
The Emperor at the time is speaking, right? And he's saying, I think he's saying something along the lines of, you see what you're doing?
Good.
Join me.
He wanted
Just as
him
your
to
father
kill.
did to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Luke looked at his hand, and he looked at his father's severed hand, and at that point, what it was to be a Jedi almost lit him up.
Yeah.
It was compassion, empathy, understanding. At that exact moment, he forgave his father for everything he had become. He had forgiven him. He looked at his weapon, and he threw it.
Yeah.
And he said, "No, you're wrong."
For the folks at home, Rocness just threw his napkin on the ground as if it were a lightsaber.
Exactly. He threw it on the ground. He looked at the Emperor and said, "No, you're wrong.
Ooh.
I am a Jedi Knight,
Yeah.
like my father before me."
Snap.
And that was his proclamation of love. And that's really what is defined as a Jedi, is unconditional compassion for anyone. And for me, that was very big. It's a lot. It's
holding a lightsaber, wielding a lightsaber does not make you a Jedi. Wielding love does.
Well, you're saying it in a condescending way right now. But the point is simple. It's the unconditional understanding of another, that extreme empathy of putting yourself in their shoes, and then finally the forgiveness that he has for his father, who's
the sins of his father. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
His father's committed genocide. His father has murdered thousands of countless people along the through the galaxy, and he finally forgave him. And the power in forgiving someone who has done so much harm, and then having pity for that person and their forgiveness, gives you all of that power. And he disarmed himself and allowed himself to be thusly nearly killed by the Emperor, in which case Vader's redemption.
Yeah. Are you listening, Baron Trump?
Wow. Well done, Dan. Well done. So anyway, moving forward, completing my thought, because I've gone on way too long, is that...
We all agree.
Thank you. Star Wars is a huge part of my life. And it always will be. And the philosophy, the story, all of it, and looking forward to where it's going is huge for me, because these people, these characters, are my family. And when Episode 7...
No offense to your real family.
Well, no. I mean, I have a real family, but I'm saying they're part of my family.
Gotcha.
And when I saw Episode 7... The Force Awakens come out, and you had your Han and your Chewie and your Leia and your Luke and all of them. For me, that came out during the holidays, and that wasn't just a movie coming out for the holidays. That was my family, who I haven't seen in 20 years, that I'm going to see for the holidays. and that meant so much to me. And when Carrie Fisher passed away, that was like me losing an aunt that I only seen, once in a while here and there. She's kind of an estranged aunt.
Yeah.
But when she passed away, that was the equivalent of losing that, and I still am hurt by her. That was my princess, That was very that was tough.
Wow.
That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback. So anyway, that's what I have to say about Star Wars.
Yeah. Okay, then.
And I'm glad that you took it seriously.
Well,
because you didn't at all. You didn't at all. No, it's fine. I mean, just tell the truth. I'm glad that you're connected to something in your life.
Again, I'll mention Bill Burr's name. He
of course, you will.
A sponsor, Loot Crate, and they deliver nerdy shit to your door. And he's trying to describe that particular month's theme of nerdy shit that comes into your door, and he's like, okay, they got this, they got this, they got this. It's just all these comic book shit and Star Warsy type shit, and he's just like, my God, you can hear the high heels running in the opposite direction.
It's whatever. I mean, I really don't give a shit about.
I know.
About.
It's just an easy target.
I mean, yeah, that's fine. I really could give a shit about anyone else's opinion regarding Star Wars. If you think that it's nerdy, then you're small-minded, and you don't think very much outside of more of what it is. It's
comic, the insult dog. Remember?
Yeah, I remember the insult dog. Triumph,
the comic insult. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
He's outside of a Star Wars convention. They're all standing in line to get in, and they're all dressed up, and it's like. He picks up one of they have like a little gadget with like numbers and shit on it. He's like, what is this, to call your mom to come pick you up when you're
and that's fine.
It's great.
And
it's just an easy, it's fun.
I guess so. If you're small-minded, that's fine.
I understand the significance of the movies and what they've meant to you. I get it. It's just so funny when you get so in-depth about it that it's like,
I don't really think it's just fucking nerdy.
Yeah, Joe.
I'm just kidding. No.
No, I mean,
Joe and I are gonna beat you up. We're gonna beat you up.
And then that's
we're
fine.
Gonna shove you into a locker.
Yeah, we're the only ones here to do it, so we have to.
Well, so I've said my piece. You said your piece. Joe, do you have a retort to anything that I said at all?
I have no response. That was perfect.
Nice.
Old school.
I'm familiar with the quote.
Okay. Just for the listeners.
Joe Harris, your
number one.
Number one.
It's Fight Club, Dan.
Yeah, I got it right.
Wow, you both guessed each other's. Yeah. How long have you been giving each other's hand jobs?
18 years, I think you mentioned.
18 years of hand jobs.
God.
Yep.
If we had a child, they would be old enough to die in a war.
And gay.
Actually, I think there's a lot of similarities in our number one, because I also felt this was kind of more of like an obligatory number one choice, because I don't know if I would. Let me put it this way: I've seen Fight Club enough times to not have to watch it anymore.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it in years. I don't have to see it. I mean, by the time I was 14, I knew it by heart, every line. I would watch it literally like every night.
Yeah.
So yeah, I sort of felt like I have to call it my overall number one favorite movie, because kind of was at the time. But that's sort of the thing, though, was I also saw Fight Club at the perfect time of my life for it to really resonate with me. Like, if I had seen it any younger, I was 13. If I had seen it any younger, it would have been over my head. If I had seen it any older, like if I had just watched Fight Club for the first time, a few days ago, like I did with Star Wars, I would have probably recognized that it's a great film, but it wouldn't have meant what it did to me when I was 13.
Yeah.
Because when I first saw that movie, along with the birth of teenage angst that is becoming 13, I had just started listening to like punk rock and political music and stuff, so that sort of anarchic, defiant spirit of the movie really, struck a chord with me. And, just like I said, being a teenager and all the while with all the social commentary of the movie and, being, very critical of materialism and social conventions and mainstream culture, which being 13 years old, it's like you're just becoming kind of self-aware and socially aware. So, you're critical for the first time. And it was just a perfect time for me to see that movie. And all the while, beyond all of that, that movie's funny. It's a comedy. Like Edward Norton talks about it in the commentary with David Fincher and Brad Pitt and Edward Norton. He was like, he said something along the lines of seeing the movie in like the drama section or something, and he's like, this is a dark comedy. Like he thought that was weird. And that was also perfect for me, was, believing all those things, but also delivering it with a sense of humor. And even though the characters took themselves way too seriously, the movie didn't. And it was just funny. And also, it was just like the other, I think, my opinion, movies on my list is, it was just a good movie. And I was really into movies at that, it was kind of maybe the first movie to influence me to analyze movies on another level. Just being great actors. I went back and watched like Primal Fear and American History
Great
X.
movie.
Yeah, because I was like, who the fuck is this Edward Norton?
Yeah.
And David Fincher being such a great director. It was based off of a great book. So everything about it was just, it got me to like I said, start analyzing movies on a different level than I had ever before.
Yeah.
So.
Well.
Yeah.
I should see it sometime.
You've never seen Fight Club?
It's really sort of okay.
What are the 10 rules? Are there 10 rules of Fight Club?
Oh shit.
Let's see how many you can remember.
Great, thanks. After I claim
we all know the first two.
Okay, I believe it's 8.
Oh, 8 rules. Okay.
Yeah, the first rule of
The
Fight
8
Club is
tenets.
do not talk about Fight Club. You can Google this right now if you want to help me out.
Well, you're already
if I
on your
can.
phone.
So, okay, the first rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The second rule of Fight Club is you do not talk about Fight Club. The third rule, someone yells stop, goes limp, taps out. Fourth rule, only 2 guys to a fight. Fifth rule, 1 fight at a time, fellas. Sixth rule, no shirts, no shoes. Seventh rule, fights will go on as long as they have to. And the 8th and final rule, if this is your first night at Fight Club, you have to fight. This kid from work, Ricky, couldn't remember whether you ordered pens with blue ink or black, but Ricky was a god for 10 minutes when he trounced the maitre d' of a local food court. That's all in order.
Wow.
That was well done. That was well done.
That, of course, 13-year-old me was bound to become obsessed with that movie because it was so fucking sarcastic and smart-ass too. And
but it was just cool.
Yeah,
it's just a cool movie.
And I think it has a lot of the same underlying sentiments as Office Space does, as far as how you can relate to it and why it resonates with you.
I agree with you.
That sort of lost generation of we have no Great War, no Great Depression. And it's true. It's like
what are we?
Survival for us, for Americans, isn't hunter gatherer. It's fucking getting these office jobs and getting your paycheck. And really,
it's very true.
I mean, every part of life has become so convenient that we're kind of overanalyzing every part of our.
Well, I hunt animals typically in the meat section of Wegmans. I mean, you know what I mean? We're no longer hunter-gatherers, but, I mean, I'm a hunter. I hunt for deals. I hunt for sales.
And I just shoot the meat. It's already dead. I just shoot it.
Just to feel like... Yeah.
All right, this one's definitely dead.
This is definitely dead.
Yeah. Yeah, good on you.
I love it.
I mean, just top 5 all around. I think I won.
I didn't know we were choosing a winner.
No, I'm just kidding.
You're so full of shit.
I think I was more surprised by yours, Rocness, because I thought the Star Wars 1, 2, and 3 would be your 1, 2, and 3. But you condensed it into, I don't know, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
whatever.
that's okay. You were cheating the whole time.
Whatever.
No, just kidding.
But yeah,
shit.
Good stuff. Good stuff all around.
No, absolutely. I mean, I'm very happy with our lists.
What I'm hoping is that the listeners here will not only slowly fall in love with us a little bit more
today,
but if they were like, oh, they said that's a good movie, I'll give that a shot.
Well, and there's two things. There's twofold. Number one is what you just said. I want people to listen to what our conversation, and I haven't seen that. I need to see that now.
Yeah.
Number one. Number two, we have a comment section. Leave your comments. Talk to us. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think generally Joe just smells bad? What is it that...
Well, based on the way he sounds, I want people to infer that.
Yeah,
You know?
like what do you think Joe smells like based on the way he sounds? And that's what I want to know.
At least you guys are saying my name correctly now.
For right now. So are we gonna do a fuck you or?
Let's real quick, let's just.
Okay.
Fuck yous, because we got to get it off our chest.
We got to get it off our chest. And remember, this is a 2-part episode, so.
Well, just listen to the first half. There's no fuck you in the first half, and then the fuck you exists in the second half.
Well, okay, Dan, do you want to open it up for a fuck you? Well, does everyone have a fuck you? Because I have mine.
You guys didn't even fucking tell me about this.
Well, that's right. You know what?
Should we take it? Let's take a short break.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
Okay. You know what, everybody? We're gonna be right back. We're gonna have a fuck you, and we're gonna wrap the show up.
Nobody has come back since the first break.
Thanks a lot. Winters suck, especially here in upstate New York. They're cold, wet, dreary, and the salt from the roads gets everywhere. Luckily, for our concrete surfaces, we have Eagle Epoxy. They'll come in, they'll resurface your garage, or your basement floor even. They cover it with an epoxy resin after it's been resurfaced, for protection, a clean look, and it's really, really easy to clean, especially for you car guys. They can be reached at their website, eagleepoxy.us, or by phone at 585-402-4971 for a free quote. Tell them the Rocness Monster sent you. And we're back. Thanks a lot for waiting. We appreciate you guys listening to our first 2-part episode regarding movies. Greatly appreciated. So now we're going to go ahead and end this long-ass show with our fuck yous. Dan, take it away.
My F you.
Say it.
Why do you always make me do this?
Because you swear, but every time we get to this point, you're just like, I don't want to say
That's
it.
so rude.
But I've said it like 3 times.
Is your diaper wet? What is your problem?
Fuck you.
Thank you. That's better.
Dog owners.
Oh, shit.
That leave your dog outside in the rain or simply tied up to a post next to your house with no slack, sometimes standing in their own feces, no water, no food. You can go fuck yourself. It's a living, breathing thing. It has feelings. It has anxiety. It has hunger. It has thirst. It has pain. And it cannot express that as easily as you and I.
Well
if
said.
you cannot be at home to take care of the animal, to give it an environment where they're with shelter, with food and water.
Love.
With enough room to walk around, I think that you are a horrible person, and you should never be allowed to own an animal. With that being said, I have a hankering for a hamburger. But that's just me.
I don't really know how those two things jive.
Well, I'm
beef cows.
I'm protecting dogs while at the same time promoting
Beef cows have,
the slaughter of cows.
I believe, outstanding lives.
Yeah, they do, and pigs.
Well, I mean,
I
they're
mean-
dumb, so we eat them.
I would kill 1 million dogs just to live one day as a beef cow.
Oh, there goes our ASPCA
So that's my
sponsor.
FU. That's my FU for the week.
I thank you, Dan, and
Yeah.
that's true. If you need to be a better dog owner, if you're a dog owner and you suck, you
Yeah.
just need to be better because I love dogs. My fuck you goes to Facebook. First of all, thank you for allowing us to attempt to vault our podcast, but forcing me to change my name.
So fuck you, but thank you.
Well, I mean, you got to force me to change my name. I'm using my persona as my name, and the fact that you come in and you tell me, or someone fucking reported me that my name was fake. Yeah.
But why does
More
it matter?
Fakeness.
Because I don't, the fakeness monster. What do you mean, why does it matter? I don't fucking, the point is, it's supposed to be my
Or
quote-unquote
Facebook.
podcast persona is supposed to
Yeah.
have his own Facebook page. I'm a real person. I'm on Facebook. I have real friends on there. All of it is real. I'm not going on there
Let's just say it was a nickname.
to bully people. Yeah, exactly. Like, if it was a nickname, whatever. It's stupid. It's stupid. And Facebook, your fucking support sucks, and you're a douche about it. I changed my name. Fuck you. I'm mad about it. I don't like it. It makes me angry. I just, like, you have a face. Let me tell you how inconsequential social media is. It's not consequential to anyone's life.
Disagree.
Disagree?
Yeah.
It's not. For what? What is it? Besides promoting this fucking podcast, I've never had a Facebook.
Well, for one, you're saying that it's inconsequential.
Yeah,
yet you didn't want to use your real name.
Somebody.
So that already infers that there could have been consequences.
Somebody.
Maybe what the sad part is Facebook should be inconsequential, and it's not.
Okay, I'll agree with that.
Like, entire rebellions have been surged using Twitter accounts.
Okay.
So you're saying that social media is inconsequential. It's not inconsequential.
Well, it's stupid. It's stupid that they had to make me change my name.
I agree with you there.
It's very dumb.
It is dumb.
And
you
they
should be able to go by a nickname.
Give us. I swear to God, they told me to give them an ID or piece of mail that has a Rocness Monster on it. That was what they told me. I said, no, I'm just going to change my name, and I'm not going to start a brand new account all over again because you're too fucking stupid.
Wow.
So if you're someone that reported me, I hope you go into fucking traffic and get hit by a car and dragged a mile. And if not, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm pissed off. It sucks. That's my fuck you. Fuck you.
I just don't understand why you can't express yourself in this country I know it's their own company. I mean, it's their software program.
Yeah, I mean, it's their...
But why you can't do that anonymously?
Because they have these set of rules that are asinine. It is what it is. I don't care. Fuck them.
Okay.
I moved on.
Cool.
Joe?
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off of Dan's, fuck you to cat owners.
All of them. Is that it?
Yeah.
So, for those of you that don't know, Dan owns 15 cats.
4.
4 cats. That's still a lot of cats, Dan.
Yeah.
No, I don't have a problem with cats.
That's funny.
Is that your fuck you?
No, okay. How about No, I know a lot of cat owners. No, that's not my serious one. How about fuck you to people who don't use directionals?
Signals, thank you.
Yeah.
God damn.
Yeah.
There's no excuse for it. It's literally right in front of your fingers.
So easy to use.
It's so close, you don't even have to move your hands sometimes.
Yeah, you don't have to remove your hand from the steering wheel.
Yeah.
You extend your fingers.
Yeah.
You flex your wrist just a little bit.
Very simple.
And it would be ulnar flexion, I believe. Right? Simple biomechanical movements that take a fraction of a second that could save lives.
Yeah.
And of course, it usually never comes down to that. You just get pissed off and yell at the person. But, dude, I can't fucking stand that when somebody doesn't use a turn signal. When, like, whether they're turning into their driveway or something, and I'm sorry, it's not always, but usually guys in pickup trucks. Like, pretty sure pickup trucks still come with turn signals.
Dudes in trucks. Oh, my God.
Well, they're too cool to do it.
No, I think otherwise they're really considerate, great drivers.
I got a truck. Look at me. Brr.
Yeah.
That's what I see. That's what I hear every time I see a guy in a truck.
Okay.
Yeah.
My dick is small, so I got this lift kit on my truck.
And the guys in the biggest pickups are always the ones who, if you're driving behind them, you can see their head kind of going left and right because they're just looking around. They're veering over the lines.
Yeah.
They're just carelessly.
Does anyone see me in this truck?
Veering over the lines, not using their turn signal. They drive 65 miles an hour in the middle of a snowstorm, but they drive 35 miles an hour on the nicest day of the
summer
year.
Day, yeah. Well,
so yeah, turn signals. Give it a shot.
Sometimes I'll be walking across the street and a car will be trying to make a turn sort of near me, but I can't see which way they're turning because they're not using their signal. So instead of like moving in the right direction, get out of the way, I would just slowly walk the fuck right in front of them.
Yeah.
And when they do that sort of annoyed quick turn out in front of me, it's like, well, you didn't have your signal on. I don't know where the fuck you were going.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, if I saw you were turning left, I would have maybe stayed on the corner and let you go, but no.
It's just there's no excuse to not use the signal.
I just don't get it either. I think you're absolutely right.
I mean, like, not wearing a seatbelt. You can argue it's uncomfortable, or a lot of people forget to put them on.
It's their own life.
With speeding, I mean, a lot of people speed. You're trying to get somewhere fast. Again, half the time you're not paying attention to your speed. There's a lot of annoying shit that people do on the road, but you could at least feasibly come up with why they do it with the turn signals thing. It just want to kill someone.
So fuck you.
Yep.
That's a fuck you.
Fuck you. And then the guys in the trucks. I work in a parking garage. Jesus Christ. I park in a parking garage to go to work. And I heard a guy on Friday bitching about there's no parking spaces for my truck in the parking garage. Hey. First of all, you work in an office. I know you work in an office. What the fuck do you need a truck for? You know what you're doing? You're compensating for the fact that your dick is 2 inches in length. Okay? So fuck you, too. A lot of fuck yous.
Yeah, if you work in an office, and especially if you're the type of person who's worried about scratching the bed of your truck, you don't fucking need a pickup truck.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that other guy, I love this one. That guy that was parked next to me that in the big fucking truck that I couldn't see when I was backing out, that was me that keyed your car. I hope you enjoyed that. So I couldn't see anything trying to get out. You were parked like an asshole. So I went ahead and keyed the shit out of that.
You didn't do that.
Yeah, I did. I keyed the fuck out of it. Fuck. Yeah, I did. I didn't key the fuck out of it. I just kind of did the key thing, and then I kept walking as I just dragged my key across the side of his car. Well, truck.
Do I need to contact our lawyer?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
I thought the fuck you was sufficient. I think you took
a little too far.
Okay, well, shit. Let's
wrap this up.
We're gonna go ahead and wrap this up.
It was a great topic today.
Movies.
We hope to have Joe on not only every single time, but
I'll never do this.
We want him to set up everything for us too.
If he could come in, bring drinks.
We want him. Yes. Okay. So
soda.
Yeah, good show, everybody. Thanks.
What do you think, Dan? Do we have a good time?
No.
No, I didn't have a good time either.
No, I think you and I are going to throw down.
Absolutely. We're going to fight in the front yard right after this. But I want to thank you to, as I'm sure you heard in our commercial breaks, I want to thank you to Eagle Epoxy. I want to thank 8o'clockstop.com because, most things start at 8 o'clock. Check them out.
The good
and
stuff.
our brothers over at Hypothetically Speaking podcast. Funny shit. If you don't listen to them, you should start. Thanks a lot. Dan, any final thoughts?
I was just going to say, 8 o'clock, you are a legitimate phenomenon. Ghostbusters, everybody.
Oh.
Yes,
wow.
Well done.
I don't know.
Dan?
My life is so empty. But see you later, I guess.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining us. And remember, please don't kill each other. Bye-bye.